Fundsheet is a portfolio management software for VC/PE funds. As you can see here, we're on the dashboard, which gives you an overview view of the aggregate performance of one of your selected funds, or all of your funds, at the date selected. So you can see at a glance, for example, how much you've invested, what is it worth today, what is the MOIC and IRR, your MOIC and IRR charts, how you've deployed capital, and what's that worth today. Fundsheet has several powerful reports, the first of which is Company Report, which allows you to drill down into one of your fund's portfolio investments. As you can see, we've got our fund hierarchy and each of our investments at a certain date, and view various information, for example, how much you've invested, what it's worth, any realizations, MOIC and IRR, as well as any qualitative information. And these are all customizable, by the way. So for example, it could be a thesis, how much you paid for it, how many board seats you have, your MOIC, IRR, any custom metrics for this company. So for each company, you can track things like revenue, EBITDA, gross margin. They can be different company to company, and we'll talk about this in more detail once we get to our metrics module. For now, just consider this the output and a professionally formatted report. And finally, cap table. I'm going to show you is our fund report, which is the aggregate performance of one of your funds at a certain date. So similar to what you saw on the dashboard, you can see how much you've invested, what it's worth, your fund MOIC IRR, including over time, but also breaking that down to the individual portfolio company, deployment, P&L balance sheet, and also any qualitative information such as fund developments, which all of these fields are customizable. Let's say we want to send to our LPs an LP report comprising our fund report at the front, so they've got an overview of what our fund is doing in aggregate, but also each of our portfolio companies at the back so they can scroll through and see each company's performance. We can do that in our Saved Reports module, which is accessible over here. This could also be used for internal reporting if you just wanted to circulate a report. Step 1 is to create a report, so click New Report, give it a title, for example, Q4 2023. Select the reports that will be included. Let's go Fund Report and Company Report. The quarter selected, let's go December 2023, and we're going to select all of Fund 1 companies and click Add. So here's one I prepared earlier. We've got Q4 2023. Now we can either edit it, view it, or send it off. Let's view it quickly so we can see what this will look like to anyone who has the link. Opened the Fund Report link. As you can see, we've got our fund report at the front, and we've got each of our company report thereafter. We've got Company 1, Company 2, and so forth. So it's a really easy way to publish reports and send it off. Next, let's send it to our LPs. To send it out, click over here, Send, and select a bunch of users, and click Send. Each of these users will now receive an email with a link to the report, and that's how easy fund reporting can be. Various other reports, I won't go through all of them, but we've got things like benchmarking where you can visually compare the performance of portfolio companies over time. So you can look for outliers or see trends over time. We've got portfolio construction reports where you can see how you've deployed your fund across different variables like vintage year, currency, and various other variables, and track record as well. The next two tabs are where you can set up individual funds. So when you first set up in Fundsheet, step 1 is to add a fund. It's also here where you can customize those fields you saw in the fund report and set up your LPs. After you've set up your funds, the next step is to add your portfolio companies within those funds. So you can click Add Investment, you can bulk upload or import via an API. You can also edit the fields that you'll be tracking for each company and make sure it's fully tailored to what you want to track in your reporting. Collecting data from portfolio companies is a massive headache, particularly as you scale your fund. So we've built our module called the metrics module, which allows you for each of your portfolio companies to set up metrics, and these can be different company to company, So company 1 can have revenue and EBITDA. Company 2 can have monthly recurring revenue and headcount. From here, you can see we've already populated the data for these metrics that we've set up. Once we've got our data in here, we can use this module to visually track the performance of each of those custom metrics and see the performance over time. But how do we get data in here? Well, with Fundsheet, you can actually automate the data collection process from portfolio companies. How we recommend you do this is to send out a form. To click up here, click Data Collection Forms, send a new form. As you can see, the forms are sent out already. And you can see over here, we can select for a number of companies, the month, let's say January 2024 to March 2024, and the day it's due. Let's send out one of these companies. You'll now see who's going to receive an email. It's going to be multiple users and the data requested period that you're sending it to. Now we're going to send out this email and we'll receive a confirmation that the email's gone out. Now let's go and check the email and what it looks like on the other side. I've now received my email with a link. Pretend I'm a portfolio company. I can click here, which is going to take me to a form that I can fill out. This is going to be matching the custom metrics that we've set up for this particular portfolio company. Every company will have different metrics showing here. You can then type over the top, like so, and submit the data. This data will now be updated in the Fundsheet app. We're now back in the metrics module, and as you can see, the data that the user has filled out has been automatically populated in our metrics. So now you can spend your time analyzing the data, seeing the trends, rather than chasing data. We've also got a separate module called Data Tracker, which shows you all of your portfolio companies and all of the custom metrics on a single page. So you can see exactly where you're missing any data. Any missing data or blank data is highlighted red, like so. From here, you can send a reminder directly from within the app. Are you currently calculating multiple invested capital, IRR, and DPI for each of your portfolio companies manually, also at the fund level manually every single quarter? Well, with Fundsheet, you can track and calculate this information automatically. No more spreadsheets required. Once you've added a portfolio company in Fundsheet, it's going to appear in here. All you need to do is anytime you do a new transaction, for example, invest in a new bolt-on or a follow-on investment, or there's a realization, add the data to Fundsheet and it'll automatically calculate your IRR. This includes choosing a different quarter. The time period will update the IRR. And if anyone ever asks you, what's our average IRR on a realized or an unrealized investment or our total fund, you can come in the cash flow module and calculate it. But this data requires information from two places. Number one is all of your investments, and number two is your valuations. So this comes from two places. Our investment data comes from Ledger, which is a list of transactions, which you can bulk upload via Excel or add manually. The second is our valuations. So valuations, essentially how valuations work in Fundsheet is you don't need to update your valuations quarterly. If you don't, we assume they'll stay at cost. If you do want to update your valuations, you can do a bulk upload and quickly update all of your valuations in one go, including previous quarters, or you can update individual investments. So let's say we wanted to update just this company. We've got three methods of valuation. The first is simple, where you just type in the number, and you can even upload supporting documentation. The second is more granular, where you can actually build up a valuation from, for example, a multiple of EBITDA, including net debt, equity value, your ownership percentage, liquidity preference, etc. Now you'll notice that this actually links in with our metrics module, where, for example, if we set up EBITDA as a custom metric, this has automatically pulled EBITDA for the last 12 months, based off what the portfolio company has populated into our system. From here, we can just apply a multiple and work out a valuation this way. Finally, if you've got any listed share investments or just shares, you can actually just pull the number of shares from your cap table and then either tell us the price per share, like so, or you can even run, for example, if you've got listed shares in Microsoft, you could actually pull that via our API to get the price per share from that stock. So now that we've talked about valuations by quarter, what about if we had a tool where for each of our portfolio company investments, we could build out a case for what we're expecting to exit each investment company for in future, and from there derive assumptions around, for example, how long our average holding period by investment is, how our distribution of multiple invested capital looks like by company, and where the proceeds by fund is going to come from, either in dollars or percentages. With our exit planning module, we allow you to build out exit cases for each individual portfolio company. For example, we can see our current valuation for each company, but we can also build out what we're expecting to sell it for in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years time. So if we wanted to add an exit case, we can click over here. We can even advise how much extra capital we want to put in, what date we're selling it. And from here, similar to the valuations, we can advise whether we just want to put a simple valuation of a number, build up a detailed valuation by EBITDA, revenue, etc., or even just number of shares times price. From there, we can actually run a detailed waterfall calc, which is customizable in our assumptions tab. You can tell us how you calculate carry. And we can actually work out for each investment how much we're going to sell it for, when we're going to sell it for, and from there work out our carry waterfall, including return of capital, preferred return, GP catch-up, carried interest, etc. These are all by case, so you can actually add multiple different cases, for example, downside case, upside case, base case, and run it by individual fund. Finally, you can add multiple users to Fundsheet. This can be members of your team. This could be portfolio companies if you prefer. These could even be LPs if you prefer. But you can control exactly which user, what modules they can access. So if you don't want them to see exit planning, for example, you can just untick that, and when they log in, they won't be able to access that module. Similarly, you can control which funds they can access, which assets they can access. You can even control certain permissions, like whether they can add users, etc. So that's Fundsheet in a snapshot. If you'd like to test out our demo, you can visit our website, www.fundsheet.app, and click over here, Try Our Demo, where you'll be able to access the same app that I went through in this video. Alternatively, if you'd like a demo over a call, click over here, Speak with Sales, to book a time via our Calendly, which will automatically link with our calendars, and you can book in a time right away. We do have a free plan as well if you want to test out Fundsheet with your own data. We look forward to having you on board.